All right, fam, we got our quiz review today. I'm going to do the odd problems, you're going to do the evens, and we're going to make a note card today too also for the quiz, okay? I'm going to start with number one, the square root method. That's what this means. I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like. I'm going to first just try and get the x squared by itself. So the easiest thing to do there would probably be to subtract the 1 over. Step 1. So I have 2x squared equals -7 and -1 makes -8. Now don't be taking square roots yet. Let's cancel the 2. So now I have x squared equals -4. Okay, now that we have the x squared all by itself and we got rid of all these other numbers around it, now we can square root both sides. So I'm going to square root, and remember when you square root a square, that's what makes this go away and we just have x equals. The thing is that I got to figure out this 4. Remember from last chapter how you can take out the negative as an I? And I'm also not going to forget my plus or minus. So remember, anytime that you square root both sides, we need our plus minus, okay? Go ahead and put that on your note card. Maybe take a highlighter and circle that plus minus so we don't forget it. And then also, we got to check to make sure this number doesn't break down, and it does. Remember, we got a group of 2 here that comes out and joins the I. So I have actually plus minus a 2 and an I, and there's nothing left over inside the radical that has to stay, so I do not actually need that radical. So this is my final answer. This is how to do the square root method, you guys. Square root. Now I'm going to do number 3. Let's see. All of this stuff is inside the square. So in order to cancel it, I need to square root both sides. When you square root a square, that's what makes this go away, and you just have x plus 3. On the other side, just like we did the last problem, this comes out as an I, and also don't forget your plus minus. And you know that 16 breaks down. That's 4 and 4 with no numbers left over. So this side becomes plus minus 4i. Okay, and the other side I still have x plus 3. How do I get the x by itself? I'm going to minus the 3 from both sides. So I'm going to write my answer as x equals. This 4i has an I with it, and this doesn't, so I actually cannot combine these. So you have to just write both of them. You can put plus minus 4i and -3. Or just so you know, you might see it as a multiple choice answer as the -3 written first and the plus minus 4i written second. Okay, just so you know, those answers are the exact same. The 3 is negative, and the 4i has a plus minus with it. But you might see it in a reverse order if it's multiple choice. Either of these answers is correct, okay? No, you don't have to write both of them, but I want you to be able to recognize that they are the same thing. That is how to do the square root method, you guys. We checked that one off. Now let's talk about the factoring method. Number 5. Remember that before you factor, you have to have equals 0 first. And so since we do have equals 0, this one doesn't have a 0, so we'll have to move some things around on that. This one equals 0, so right away what I can do is I can do this x thing. Do you remember that? And remember that the -36 goes on top and -5 goes on the bottom. Okay, and so I have to think of those two numbers, and you might have to crunch some numbers in your head, your calculator. That's the hardest part. What times what is 36? I'm thinking 9 and 4. And in order to make -5, I believe that the 9 has to be negative. And so remember, once you get these two numbers, then you're going to write your parentheses and keep your equals 0 over here. And in the parentheses, you're going to use these two numbers. So you're going to write x -9, x positive 4. Okay, so this number is here, and this number is here. The last thing you have to do is equal both of these to 0. X minus 9 equals 0. That means I'm going to add 9 to both sides, and my first answer is 9. I'm going to do the same thing over here. X plus 4 equals 0. I'm going to minus the 4. And you get x equals -4. Both of those answers are good. Let's try number 7. The only thing different about number 7 is I do not have this 0 like I did in this one, and that is the rule before you do the x. You have to have a 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minus the 7x, and I'm going to minus the 18 over. That's what cancels everything on the right-hand side. And now I just have to write all of these things. I have an x squared and an x and a whole number. Those are all different. I can't combine any of those together. But I'm going to write x squared minus 7x minus 18. And now this problem looks exactly like this one. Everything is over on one side and we have a 0 on the other side. So remember what we're going to do now. We're going to put the negative 18 on the top and the negative 7 on the bottom. Don't lose those negative signs. This is negative, this is negative. What times what's 18? I'm thinking 6 and 3. That doesn't make 7. 18 and 1. That doesn't make 7. What am I missing? Oh, 9 and 2. Okay. And in order to make negative 7, I believe the 9 has to be negative. Okay, so once you have these two numbers, this one and this one, remember you're allowed to write this as factored. So I'm going to write x negative 9 and x positive 2. Remember, this number goes here, and this number goes here. And the last thing we have to do after this is I'm going to do x minus 9 equals 0. That means add 9 to both sides. X equals 9 is one of my answers. Over here I'm going to do x plus 2 equals 0. That means I minus 2 on both sides. X equals negative 2. Those are my two answers. All right, solve number 3. When you see extraneous solutions. So this is thing number 2, factoring method. The first method was square root method. Then it was factoring method, and now we're looking for those extraneous solutions. This is what we worked on in class yesterday. Oh, I said I was doing odds. Okay, great. Maybe I'll do both of these. All right, fam. In order to get rid of this giant, ugly square root, which is really freaky, remember how to get rid of it? Square both sides. When you square a square root, it makes it go away. So over here I have 7x plus 30. And over here it's x squared now. Okay? Remember, we are trying to get this thing to have a 0. And so just like this one didn't, this one doesn't either. It looks almost the exact same as this problem. What did I do next? I'm minusing those things over so that I have 0 on one side. So I'm going to minus 7x and minus 30. That's what cancels all of this and gives me 0. And on this side, I have an x squared and a 7x and a 30, and I cannot combine those, so I'm going to use x squared minus 7x minus 30 equals 0. And now that I have this 0, I'm allowed to do this, right? Got negative 30 on top and negative 7 on the bottom. Thinking what times what is 30? 15 and 2? That doesn't make 7. 10 and 3? Yes. 10 and 3. But in order to make negative 7, that means the 10's got to be negative. Okay, so once you come up with those two numbers, you use them in your factored form. X minus 10 and x plus 3. This exact number goes here. This exact number goes here. If you do enough practice of these, you guys, you got it. It becomes very methodical. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So one of my answers is 10. On this side, x plus 3 equals 0. I'm going to minus the 3. And I get x equals negative 3. And now remember what the directions say for this? Extraneous solutions. Extraneous, do you remember what that means? What that means is kind of annoying, but when you get a negative answer, if you take this number and plug it in right here, that makes the non-square root side of the problem negative. And a square root, you guys, it can't equal a negative number. So we do not use this answer. We only use this one. Okay, so watch out for that. When it says extraneous solutions, do that. Oh, here's a fun fact. This one's going to be extra credit on the quiz. So if you want extra credit on the quiz, try this problem and check it with me and then throw it on your note card, okay? The only difference between that problem and this one is this one when you square both sides. Remember how this side it canceled out and this one we just wrote x squared. When you do that over here, we're going to square this. We have to square this, which means FOIL. Yes, that's why it's extra credit, okay? But this side, the square and the square root cancels out. So see if you can actually do this problem because it's going to be extra credit on the quiz. Get it checked with one of us and then throw it on your note card and you're going to get over 100 on your quiz. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Let's knock out these evens now, okay?